Welcome to the I Decide Darlings podcast. I'm Erin.
And I'm Lisa. We are moms, wives, best friends, entrepreneurs, and authors of the book, I Decide, the happy little guide to living your best life. Pull up a chair, grab a glass of wine, and get ready to talk all things health, success, loss, money, family, and everything in between. These two besties won't leave anything off the table.
So get ready to laugh, cry, hear the tips, tools, and stories to give you the success you crave, the life you adore, and the future you deserve. You are listening to the I Decide podcast. Welcome to the I Decide Darlings podcast. I am Erin Lopez.
And I'm Lisa Cox. Hello.
Hello. Okay, you guys, buckle up because this one is going to be super fun because Lisa and I together are always talking about aging and everything. Like we jokingly say, like the good, the bad, the in between. And so we kind of had this idea, like, why are we not talking about this with our darlings here with you all? So we're going to have like our girlfriend chat about the lovely joys of aging. Because guess what? There are some lovely joys of aging for sure. I think, right? No, there are. But everything else. So I'm on this journey. I'm having a hard time even saying it to getting closer to 50. But like, you're one of the hottest ladies I know. And you have like kind of figured out part of this aging process. So you've been like in my corner helping me out. So we're going to share some of your grand wisdom as well.
Well, you know what? I'm on my way to 60 and that's, I know. So when you say 50 and I think in my brain, I was just on that journey. I did a countdown to 50 and now I'm 56. So I'll be 57. And the first thing we could say is time goes so fast. And everyone says that when you're younger, your parents say, oh, enjoy every day. Time goes so fast. But I'm telling you, when you get in your 40s and 50s, it's like double time, which is a little bit scary because I still feel like I'm 30. I feel 30 in my heart, or, I feel young. And I don't know if that's part of what's helped me in this process is that I don't feel old. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a couple things we'll talk about that are definitely have really, depleted out of my life. But for the most part, my mind, feels much younger than my body is. And it's a pretty crazy process.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think that I still feel like I'm in my 30s. I mean, I feel like wine, we get better in age.
Baby.
I've really enjoyed my 40s. I really have. Like the thought of 50, I'm not going to lie, it's a little scary to me. I mean, I distinctly remember being a child and my mom turning 40. And I love you, Mom, but I remember feeling like she was old.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, don't you remember? I mean, I distinctly remember my mom being 40. She had a big bash. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, she's 40. She's old. And now I'm like way past that. And I don't know. I do think the world has changed a little bit. I think that, I mean, gosh, you see all those amazing pictures going around about like J-Lo at 50 versus Ruth from, what was it?
Golden Girls.
Golden Girls at 50. Like, okay, times have changed. But I do think part of it is because we've started to take more care of ourselves, better care of ourselves. There's products out there now, there's wellness, there's mental health. Like, I don't know. I would like to think that the world has changed it. Like
it has for sure. We're so much more well aware of the things to be cautionary about and how to proceed. And, exercise is so important and community and, what we're putting in our bodies and all that stuff has become more clear. But I also think there's a great part of this world that we're in that they ignore all of that. They ignore all the knowledge that's out there. And then they're wondering why they actually feel their age or older than they do. And so that's kind of something too, that when I'm talking to people about what they're doing or why they're feeling that they are at their age, I ask them, well, what's your diet like? And how's your energy levels and things like that. But as for me, when I started approaching the years where my hormones went crazy with menopause at 48 years old, when I started getting into all of that, I became like a self-proclaimed researcher to try and find the things that I could do to offset as it came on. I was always trying to offset it, and always the minute my body stopped metabolizing food like it used to, I instantly started restricting my diet a little bit. I knew that as you get older, you don't need to eat as much. And so that helped me get through those times without putting on a bunch of weight, which is also very common for women during menopause, is to put on a bunch of weight. And then once we do that, guess what happens? Our mindset, sinks because we don't look like we used to look. And so it's such a catch-22, Erin, what we have to go through and what we have to do in order to offset it. And that was just kind of a big roundabout. But, I think that if we're talking about how to get through this, we have to talk about the mindset part of it. We have to talk about what we're doing each and every day. And we also have to talk about, how we help each other, how we can support each other as women and men during this time, because everybody has a loss of self-esteem as they age and a loss of brain cells. I mean, come on. How many times have you tried to think of someone's name in your 40s? Wait till you're 50. It's awful. And you'll be staring at someone and you can't think of their name. It's the most embarrassing, crazy thing ever, but it's a real deal.
I always thought that would never happen to me. Really, we say that, right? And it happens. I mean, my 30th high school reunion is actually next weekend. I can't make it, but I mean, I always said that'll never be me. How do people forget people's names? Well, the only reason I say that is because this reunion, I'm starting to see people's names pop up. I'm like, who the heck is that? Or what was her? Yeah. So I think that the mind is also it's just playing games on us. Okay. So here's a question for you that just came to my mind. So what do you think? And again, there's probably a lot, but what's a big difference you saw your 40s versus your 50s? Selfish reasons. I'm asking these questions, people. Well, selfish reasons.
Honestly, that the one that stands out is the memory, the memory thing. And I don't know. I mean, I live a very full life and have a lot of irons in the fire. And I don't know if that has to do with things just because it's like I have all these windows open on my computer in my brain. I need to just shut down some of the other windows and keep more focused. But that was one of the probably most shocking things that I really, really, really experienced was the fact that my memory has changed. And I do things to jog it. I do things to try and stay sharp. I read a lot and I do stuff that I think will help me, and I
those apps on your phone. Do you do that?
I actually don't do those yet, but I think it probably would be a really good idea. My husband does a crossword puzzle every single morning. He does the whole crossword puzzle every single morning. And he feels like that keeps him a little bit sharper throughout the day. And he enjoys it. That's his coffee time, But other things that I noticed between 40 and 50, definitely because I started into menopause at 48. And I didn't know what was going on with me when it first started. I thought that was too young, but I'm learning it's not. It's very common to go into menopause. And when levels in your body of estrogen and testosterone and start lowering in your body, crazy stuff happens. I mean, first of all, I couldn't get up in the morning. I was so tired, and I go to bed at a decent time almost every single night, in bed by 10 o'clock. And I could not wake up in the morning. And a lot of women struggle from this, and they don't know that it's their estrogen levels that have dropped in their bodies, and they don't understand that. And then they drag through their day. Well, I started to feel that, and that was very rare for me. And so that happened to me about 48 years old.
Okay. Question. How do you know, like you said, I started to go through menopause. How do you know you're going through menopause?
Well,
is that obviously you're going to the doctor and you're getting your blood levels taken?
Well, my doctor wasn't helping me with that. So I had to seek out an endocrinologist or a doctor that does that for women, because a lot of times your general practitioner
Mhm.
won't go there with you. And it's a very strange thing. I don't understand it. And I have wonderful doctors here in town, but I will tell you, I sought out a homeopathic doctor that would do my blood work, and she does it every 4 months. Every 4 months. And we've done that since I was 48 years old to check my levels and where they were. And when she did that at 48 years old, I had started having hot flashes, low sex drive, and that's a big part of it too. Hot flashes, exhaustion in the morning, just things that were not typical in my life and were starting to affect my behavior, my mindset, our marriage a little bit, but Steve was with me on it, and that was very helpful. He's like, let's just seek some help. Let's find out why these hot.
Get some help.
He's like, good Lord, woman, let's find you someone. Because I was like, when I would go into a hot flash, this all happened overnight for me. And so I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared.
Mhm.
And when it hit me at 48, I mean, I'm telling you, Erin, I felt like I went psycho overnight. Because when a hot flash hits you, if you've never had one, you feel like the inside of your body heats up, and it just heats up from the inside. And then you're basically put out of your game, whatever your game is. Mine was working our business. If you're on camera, all of a sudden you're hot, you're sweaty. You can't really concentrate for the minute that this hot flash is going on. And I was having 18 a day and 18 a night, and it would wake me up and I'd be sweating in my bed. It just happened like that. And no one told me about it. So like literally legit, I went to my mom
18?
and I'm like, 18 hot flashes. It just was constant.
About it.
It was nuts. And so I told my mom about this, and she's like, oh, I didn't even go through that. And I'm like, what? And she's like, I didn't have any problems. So it doesn't happen to every woman out there. But if you are out there listening and you're experiencing all of a sudden this new stuff, there are things that can help you. And for me, it was learning what was going on in my body, because I can't say always, but for the most part, I was raised very healthy. I ate very healthy my life. I've always been a workout junkie because that's kind of my mental health. I love it. Love walking and doing yoga. So I thought I was kind of on track, to serve my aging body in a healthy way. But I'm telling you, there was nothing exercise or eating right could have done to help me through that. So I found someone in my area. You can ask any woman in her 50s in your area, and she'll probably give you a good idea of who to go talk to. And I chose, and this is not everyone's choice, but I went ahead and chose to have bioidentical hormones to take them. And it was my saving grace. When they took my blood work that first time, I was flatlined, zero testosterone, zero estrogen. She's like, no, zero progesterone. She's like, no wonder you feel like you can't function. She's like, no wonder. And she's like, I can help you. And so that's what we did. And so I got on bioidenticals, and what we still do is every 4 months, because even after being on those for, going on 8 years now, I guess almost 9 years, your body will continue to change. And so that's why the blood work is done every 4 months, to make sure that the bioidenticals aren't giving you more than you need, or if your body changes again, they're not giving you less than. And it just helped me balance out.
Yeah.
It made every bit of difference.
Ooh. Well, okay, I'm calling an endocrinologist like as soon as we're off the phone.
Hey there, darlings. We wanted to take a quick moment to talk to you about something super exciting.
That is right, Lisa. And if you're inspired by any of our conversations, but you still feel like you're stuck in place, trapped in guilt and in self-doubt, and in the feeling that you are not enough, but you are still yearning for more time, more self-confidence, and more fulfillment in your life, this is just exactly for you.
We would like to introduce to you our transformative course, Get Unstuck in 10 Days, in which you'll gain practical steps and knowledge to break through those barriers holding you back and start living the life you truly deserve.
Absolutely, Lisa. Whether you're looking to switch it up, switch your mindset, kick those bad habits to the curb, or set meaningful goals aligned with your values, this course will open new doors just for you.
Plus, by enrolling in Get Unstuck in 10 Days, you'll not only get access to valuable lessons and resources, but also join a supportive community of like-minded individuals on a journey to personal growth and empowerment.
So what are you waiting for? Head over to our website at idecide.io and enroll in Get Unstuck in 10 Days today. Let's make those positive changes together.
And don't forget, darlings, stay tuned for more insightful conversations right here on the I Decide Darlings podcast. Thanks for listening.
But I think I've started, like a lot of people will tell you oh, I'm in perimenopause, but I'm just now getting a glimpse for everyone who totally wants to hear this of the hot flashes, but they've all been at night, where I'm laying in bed and our room is freezing. And then all of a sudden I feel like the volcano coming up, I'm sweating. Yeah. So, but these are the things I feel like people don't tell you about. Like you said, your mom was like, oh, that never happened to me. I mean, I know I've had this conversation with my mom, and my mom had a hysterectomy. And so she never had any of this stuff, I have had and have an IUD since my youngest was born. So I haven't had a period since then. Who knew you were coming in for this today, ladies and gentlemen?
It's important that we talk about it.
But fast forward 15 years later, I haven't dealt with any of that since 15 years ago. And so then my girls started going through their hormones and everything. And this is so crazy, but they didn't see the pads and the tampons and everything around because we've never had them.
Yeah.
So again, it's the things that the only reason I brought that up is it's the things that people don't talk about that, the this and the that. And again, I'm a huge believer. We talk all the time about education is power, but I am a huge believer, and you've been so great with this with me, of educating ourselves on our body. I am one that probably like most, I'm so busy. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm taking care of my husband, I'm taking care of my house, I'm taking care of my business. I don't have time to go to the doctor. I don't have time. We usually don't take care of ourselves. Rewind the past 7-8 years when I got on my health journey, it was the importance of getting your blood work and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, I think that, yeah. So again, you think it's the whole mind. By the way, side note, they do say, who's they? I don't know. They do say that doing those games on your phone is helpful. I do every night now. And it's kind of like my wind down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do it for that, but I think it's helping, is that I do these, they're not crossword puzzle. Well, I don't know. It's a word game that I do every night. And I keep telling myself maybe this is good for when I'm aging and stuff too. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, and I do think it's important to think about and actually take this self-evaluation as you, I think you're really smart, Erin, because you self-evaluate as you go through the years. And I've always done that. And something that I really noticed when I was 48 and going through this change of life, I wasn't feeling happy. I wasn't feeling happy in my head. And I actually spoke about this on stage in front of a big group one time. And it's very emotional for me to talk about, but I was struggling in my head. I was struggling that I wasn't happy in life. I even questioned, and I haven't said this to a lot of people, but I even questioned, was my marriage happy? And I have the most wonderful husband and marriage. And I'm so blessed that I look back on those days and I really question my hormones for those feelings in my body. And you hear about people that have midlife crises. I believe those happen because of hormone deficiencies in our bodies. And I am not joking. And I am not a doctor, but I will tell you that I live most of my life in this very happy, and I've worked hard for that happiness, but state, because I feel like I have great communication with my spouse. I have great communication with my kids. I have a very, very blessed life. But during that time, I started questioning all of that. And I look back on that and it freaks me out because I'm like, oh my gosh, I was a mess. And if you're feeling out there like you can relate to that, I recommend getting your blood work done because the doctor might say, oh, it's normal to get depression at this age. Your children have left the nest. You may not know who you are or where you're going in life. And my children had left the nest and everything. But what they want to do is just put you on an antidepressant.
Yeah.
And I believe that there is a place for antidepressants. So don't get me wrong. I believe that. But I also wholeheartedly believe that if you can take a deeper look at what's going on in your individual body, that you can find answers that are not in an antidepressant bottle.
Yeah.
And that's what happened for me is once she got my levels regulated, Erin, it was night and day. First of all, ladies, let's talk about the midsection and the weight that comes on when you're going through menopause. There's nothing that you can do on your own. You could starve yourself and you're still probably going to get fuller through your midsection because of the hormone imbalances in your body. And that could be so depressing for a lot of people. And that was another thing that I thought, gosh, I'm trying everything. I work out so hard. I eat right, all this stuff. Didn't matter. Mm-hmm. But you blame yourself and then you get upset about that. So to me, it was incredible. And if I could give anyone the very long answer to your question is between 40 and 50. My answer is get your blood work done and make sure you know how you're doing on the inside of your body and do that self-check. How do you feel? How's your mental state? We're coming up on 35 years married, and I am so grateful that during that time, I took a very introspective look inside my body and got things figured out to where I didn't let it go any further than I did as far as my unsureness of who am I? What do I want to do the rest of my life? And things like that, because it was definitely hormonal.
Wow. Well, I mean, priceless information. I mean, honestly, and advice, because yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm slowly creeping in on that, but I can see it coming. And then, I can see the crazy coming too, because it's a lot, I love what you mentioned though. And you said, eating less, like a couple things I want to break down. Like one, I do think, we eat, or maybe this is just me. You're better at this than me, but like we eat just because we're told it's time to eat, like I have been the type that, it's breakfast, eat breakfast. It's lunch, eat lunch. Like I'm not even hungry, and our bodies don't need that much food. So I do love that. That hit me, and my journey, but like it hit me about a year ago that I started to have that real midsection, visceral fat, that what I really understood, because we both have become kind of nerds in the sense of like what's healthy for our body, what we're taking, what's in, on, all of those good things. What I really personally finally understood was our body cannot do it on its own. So, I mean, I don't think I loved working out, but I knew I needed to be. And so, I mean, and I'm not the type like I am now. Like if I worked out, I wanted to be like sweating, dying on the floor, drip it out, Orange Theory-ish, whatever. And then, I mean, I would, limit what I was eating, whatever. And nothing changes.
That's right.
Nothing changes. And, so I can attest to, really getting all of my like supplements in line. I've been a yo-yo dieter probably my entire adult life. And so really understanding that like my metabolism is shot, and so, finding what works for my body to get my metabolism running, and all of that, and like digestive, like stuff that really is breaking down, like gut health, like, oh my gosh, so many things. But I think it's that education, again, education power should be maybe our new tagline. But, I mean, I just think it's all of those things that I had a conversation with a girlfriend the other day. Like, she's like, I'm starving myself. I'm going to the gym 3-4 times a week. And I was like, sister, I hate to tell you, but like our bodies aren't what they used to be. Like, I know a lot of people are like anti-supplements, but why? I mean, honestly, I'm like, why? I'm like, you figure out what works for you. But I mean, at my age, and I know for you too, like it's been just like, what can I do to get my body moving? And blood work, I think, is like the perfect thing.
Mhm.
And I know for me, like my brain fog, my this, finally getting rid of my visceral fat. There's still some there, but like, you know, being in that headspace of like, I can't do this alone, you know,
Mhm.
I think was a really eye-opening for me in aging. Was like, I was always the type, like I could just, you know, be careful what I ate for a few days and all would be well in the world. Well, guess what? You know, it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah. Those days are gone. Those days are gone. I think it's also kind of depressing, if we can just be honest, about how men get wrinkles and get better looking. Like, come
Yeah.
on. It's just a fact. I mean, I watched Steve Cox, who of course has never in his life done Botox or had a facial or anything like that. He does use his night cream and he does take his liquid collagen. But I mean, that guy, I think, just gets better looking every single year. And in the meantime, everything on my body is sagging, including the skin on top of my knees.
Oh, yeah, that's not a good one. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
it just
not something
happens.
that nobody talks about either. Yeah. Yeah. But I did a thing the other day. I mean, like my secret to sagging, which I know we've talked about before, like that's the whole thing. Like the sagging is real. Like I know we say the struggle is real, but like the sagging is real. Okay, but here's the other thing too. I do agree. I think men, you know, get better with age, you know, and I think, you know, there's some aspects of us that we do too, but I don't think the men just don't talk about it. You know, like they do get that sexy, you know, like salt and pepper, this, you know,
I love it.
like, yummy, you know. But I also think like, you know, they don't talk about the other stuff too, you
Mm-mm.
know? And so I think it's like, I don't know. I think it's also like bringing the light to like, you know, some men like their hair gets thinner, you know, all this stuff. And I know Steve Cox, like rewind 10 years ago, if you pulled up a picture of him then now, he looks like, again, better with wine, better with age.
Yeah.
And a lot of it I know it was because of the collagen that he started taking.
Oh, I think so for sure.
Holy smokes, you know, I mean, Tony's the same. I mean, like I look back at pictures of him, I'm like, boo, you're better now than you were then,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
And I think as women, because we have to deal with that, Erin,
yeah,
it's just it's really important that we give ourselves some grace.
yeah,
And you know, and when people say age gracefully, well, that's a little bit easier said than it is done.
yeah,
But I think what's really important is that we kind of move into our older years with, and I don't think 50 is old anymore. I don't think 60 is old anymore. So when I say older years, I mean every year that we get older, that we're lucky to get older, that we're blessed in life to have another year, another month, another day. I think that we have to look at that as a gift. And I will say something, this is a little bit of a side or off note from what we're talking about. I feel so happy at this age, like as far as I don't care what other people think anymore. I feel like I'm in my era of confidence
mhm,
and belief that that I'm doing my best.
yeah,
And I don't think that I take other people's opinions of how I'm doing things to heart like I used to.
mhm,
Or just all the peer pressure type stuff. I just feel like in your 50s and you're going to roll right into this and you're probably already there, but I just feel like I'm released from those extra pressures. And so when I'm working on aging gracefully, it's a very personal journey. I'm not trying to compare myself to the way another woman looks or her body or her hair or her lips or her eyes or whatever. I'm just trying to take it as how can I, because I know that's what's most important, is how can I be the best me for
mhm,
my family, for my husband, for my children, and soon for my grandson. How can I be the best for them? How can I have the healthiest body and show up in it so that I can have the strength to lift my grandson? Those are the types of things that now I focus on versus the the old theory of I want to look better than her, or kind of like the compare-itis. I feel like I've lost that at this age, and it's a nice release. It
yeah.
feels great.
Yeah. I'm not there yet. You know, and I think you and I always talk about this, like the seasons of our lives. And yes, I'm a million times better now that I'm older of not caring, you know, a lot. Like it doesn't hold a lot of value to me of what I'm doing. Cause, you know, I always say like, I'm worried about my family, you know, and I think that took me a long time, you know, cause you're worried about your friends and who's doing this and where are you going and, you know, the keeping up with the Jones, like all of that kind of stuff. And that has passed. I think, you know, I love, and we always talk about this, that like, I love your season of life because it gives me, you know, something to look forward to. But I'm also in this season of like, am I a good parent? You know, and like, oh my gosh, am I saying the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? You know, these are such important years, you know, that, you know, it's a constant gray hair moment,
Yeah.
you know, of like, oh, why did I say that to her? And that, you know, like, you know, so yeah. And I think you know, everyone is in a different season, you know, and I think that's what I love about this. And I also love the fact that we love to talk to people about the different seasons,
Yes.
you know, I do think that watching my girls who are in their teens, they're more concerned about themselves, they're not themselves, but like skincare and water and way more than, you know, I ever was at that age.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it's their season, but I think it's our world, good and bad, you know, promoting that to them, you know, but I also think I look forward to those things too, but I'm also very grounded in where I'm at right now, you know, and embracing I'm just lucky to be where I'm at right now. And some days are very hard, but you know, that's part of the process, right? And that's part of the aging. And I also know that I really don't want this time to pass, you know?
Exactly. You don't want it to rush. You don't want to rush any of it. I think that one of the things too that you're not able to do, I think at that age when you have still daughters at home, is choose where you are all the time. And that's the thing. Also, when you're in your late 50s, mid 50s, that I really have strict boundaries on who I'm around, who I hang, who my time is with, because I don't, you know, when you have teens and you're doing all these things, your schedule is dictated by their schedules. And that's the one thing too, that I feel like Steve and I have really done is, we know exactly who fills us up and who lights us up. And we also know possibly the people in our life that don't. And so we get to choose who we spend time with and who our circle of friends are. And we have beautiful, amazing friends. We're very blessed. But there's also been people in our life that brought us heavyweight feelings every time we were around them. And I think at this age, we're done with that. Like I used to be told and taught by our mentors, you know who your circle of influence is, spend time with the right people. We even talk about it in our book, I Decide, Erin, how important that is. But it's harder to do that when your schedule is dictated at your age by raising these beautiful daughters. My daughters are raised. And so for now it's kind of like we're raising ourselves, you know, and so we get to really pick and choose where we go, what we do, even how we do things. We were just talking about, because Steve is turning 60 in January, and we were just talking about how there's certain things that we used to do all the time that we don't even care about messing with, like big concerts, because because the whole hassle of getting there, the traffic, being in, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just not worth it anymore for how we feel. We'd rather be in bed at 10 o'clock and get up early and go do my yoga than fight all of that. And so it's funny how things, as you age, they change, and it's not all for the bad. You know, there's a lot of really good, happy things that come out of it like that.
I saw a meme the other day that said, like, to all the people I made fun of going to dinner at 5 p.m., I'm sorry, and you're my people. Like, I was like, I mean, I kind of agree.
I like the one that said, for all the things that I felt like I was being punished for when I was younger, I beg for now, which is basically you can't go out tonight. You have to go to bed on time, you know, things like that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, if we only would have known. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you know, all joking encompassed, like, there are so many beautiful things about all of it. I mean, like we said, like the good, the bad, and the in between, because it's not bad. I mean, yeah, the sagging I could live without, but
we have things for that.
we have things for that. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So yeah, I love it. And I love that, we get to have all friends on different journeys that, we get to say, ooh, get ready for this, girl. Or, so I don't know. All right. Last question, because we could talk about this all day long. All day long. Okay. What is, like, if you could only do, and again, you know me, I'm going back to either like a product or a service. If you could only do one thing for the next, like, for the next 5 years, what would it be? Like, if you could only go to, like, get a facial, let's just stick with the services because we know the products, but, like, what would you say, like, you couldn't live without?
Botox, baby.
Oh,
Botox.
yeah, really?
That's really the only main thing that I care about having done. I have had some fillers. I'm not a huge filler girl because I don't like my face to look bigger than it already is, because I kind of have a very full face anyway. I had very full cheeks as a child. And so for me, if we're talking which service, and I tell everyone, I don't hide that crap. I color my hair. I have fake nails. I'm not afraid to talk about any of those things that I like to do that make me feel prettier. But I have what we call, my maiden name was Nibling. And I have what we call the Nibling lines, which are 4 very strong wrinkle lines in my forehead, like deep. And I have been doing Botox on those since I was in my mid 30s, and to help keep them away. And so for me, that's the one treat that I really fall back on, because it just makes me feel younger to not look at those deep, deep lines. And I am not embarrassed to share that that's an important thing for me.
You look back at pictures now and, like, see those lines and you're like, holy cannoli.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I do. And I like doing that. So I know a lot of people aren't believers in using Botox or, or things like that. But for me, it's something that makes me feel like I look younger, and I like that.
My perspective on Botox is to find somebody that you trust,
Yes.
and I think that is the key to Botox, because, I'm not opposed to Botox either. I don't do much, but I also think it's preventative. And I'm the same. I have deep wrinkles here. And I even look back on our wedding pictures, which we've been married a long time, and I didn't notice them then, but I had them. So maybe we have the same lines. But I think the key is finding somebody that you trust. I mean, I have somebody, I know you do too, that I've worked with, and she's the only person I trust. And she knows that, because you can always get more. You can't take it away.
That's right.
And I learned the hard way, people, and don't do it that way, because I went to somebody just to get it and didn't have a relationship with them. I wasn't very communicative, and it's not funny. It's funny now, and if you ask Tony, like, this is probably one of his favorite stories to tell, is I got Botox and one of my eyes drooped down big time for a good 2 months.
Oh,
it was traumatizing. There are pictures. But my eye, above my eye, it drooped down where my eye became, and I already have one eye that's, like, smaller than the other. Lisa, when I tell you it was traumatizing, it was traumatizing. So it taught me to, like, find somebody, because guess what? We have no shame in our game. I mean, and I also think the key is finding people you trust in all things, I think from who you buy stuff from to where you, whatever, but yeah.
Well, and those types of things are fun luxuries in life that, that we've been able to do, and not everybody can. And I understand that. I think like my best aging tip that I could give anybody is to pause a minute and really reflect on how you feel in your whole body. If there's aches, if there's upset, like if you have gut health problems, you need to look at that stuff. I mean, our bodies are very smart, and they tell us what they need. And I think maybe one of the biggest mistakes that women make, men as well, but I really think women don't take the time to really pause and look inside and think and feel and do a whole reflection of how are they? How are you? Like, do you have headaches every day? Someone needs to know that. Okay. You need to talk to someone and you need to advocate for yourself until you figure it out. And I think that is not being done for a lot of people because they're out there doing for everybody else. They're taking care of their families. They're doing all the stuff. What about them? And I think that they could find answers to where they could age more gracefully, more happy, better mindset and things like that. So that's the one thing that I feel. And I learned that honestly in my yoga classes, because in every yoga class, we start with a moment of reflection and they say, think about where you are today. How does your body feel? How's your mind? Take some deep breaths. And if something's hurting, then listen to that today and don't do moves that hurt you. Don't do things that don't feel right today. And if that means you have to just lay on your mat and get some rest, then do that. And I love that about my yoga study because it's taught me to reflect on how things are feeling each and every day. And so I ask everyone that's listening to take a moment and do that for themselves. And I believe that will help you as you age and as we get older, to stay in tune and in touch with things that we need to look at.
Beautiful advice. Mic drop. Boom. Boom. Well, this has been so fun. I mean, again, I think we could talk about this all day, like we can do about everything, but this is super fun. And hopefully you've gotten some smiles and some giggles and some advice out of this today, and share this out, with somebody who just speaks our language, because we are just two girlfriends, darlings, talking to our other darlings out there. And we want to hear from you guys too. Like, what are we missing on this graceful journey of aging that you can educate us on too? Oh,
and Erin, maybe we could tag some of our favorite anti-aging products in the show notes.
Ooh, I like that. Ooh, okay.
So you guys can come.
So another amazing episode, hopefully, of the I Decide Darlings podcast. Again, like this, share this, love it, send it out to your friends and family, because we love you just as much. Thank you for joining in to the I Decide Darlings podcast, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
You've been listening to the I Decide Darlings podcast. If this podcast touched your heart, please share it with your friends and family right after you subscribe yourself. Don't forget to head over to iDecideBook.com and grab a copy of our favorite book and daily journal. As always, thank you for being here, and we can't wait for you to hear our next episode.